The Panthers 2025 schedule is finally out, and I know we've known the teams for a long time, but finally getting the dates tonight, man, this is gonna be a tough one. We'll talk about it right here on Locked On Panthers.
You are Locked On Panthers, your daily Carolina Panthers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Panthers podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, as always, Julian Council, talking Carolina Panthers with you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and yes, of course, Friday, your team every day. That's our motto here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for watching the show right here on YouTube, where I am live breaking down the Carolina Panthers 2025 schedule and listening wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And if you ever miss a live episode here on YouTube, it's going to still be there in your YouTube feeds, and of course wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Be sure to follow me, Julian Council, over on Twitter and Blue Sky at Julian Council, because I'm back here on Friday answering your weekly Friday mailbag questions. And if you have questions about the Panthers schedule and your feelings on it for me, well, either at me or DM me over on Twitter at Julian Council, or at me over on Blue Sky, also at Julian Council, to get your questions in right now for the weekly Friday mailbag right here on Locked On Panthers. At long last, this evening, we got the Panthers 2025 schedule dates. We've known the schedule for a while. Back when the season ended in January, we knew who they were going to play, just did not know when they were going to play. And this is always an exciting time because we're one step closer to actual football being played once again here in 2025. And cannot wait for this season, a big offseason on which I think Carolina's done a really good job of trying to rebuild that defense, adding to the offense, helping Bryce Young in year 3, year 2 of Dave Canales, year 2 of Dan Morgan. It feels like this organization is headed in the right direction. So excited to see how things play out in 2025. Got a few things that stood out to me when looking at the schedule and the dates when the Carolina Panthers will be playing all their opponents. Also going to talk about the easiest and toughest stretches of the game, of the season. And then how many games the Panthers going to win this year? Their win total right now sitting at 6.5. Are they going to exceed that win total? Are they going to be able to double what they did last year? We'll talk about that here on the show today. But first, let's go over some of the 5 things that really stood out to me when looking at the schedule coming out. Week 1, I talked about it on Wednesday or earlier today, whenever you would have checked out the podcast, that I did not want to see the Panthers play a divisional opponent for the 3rd straight year at home. And I know there was a leaked schedule that came out there. Well, it was fake because the Panthers are not playing the Buccaneers week 1. They're not playing them until actually the end of the season. So that one was a big swing and a miss, but they are going to play a team that's not in the division, but unfortunately not going to be at home. We're on the road last year in New Orleans. We're on the road the year prior to that in Atlanta, and they'll be on the road this year at Jacksonville with Travis Hunter making his NFL debut, his Jags debut there in week 1. So don't love having to start off the season on the road, but it's not a division game, and it's also against an opponent that was worse than Carolina last year, as the Jags went 4-13, and also had a terrible defense, and they had to fire their head coach and bring in Liam Cohen. And the whole Duval weird thing he did there has me wondering, is that going to work? I don't love it. Give me Kendall Roy kind of vibes there. Either way, it's a winnable game against a Jags team that still has a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence who may have gotten the bag, but plenty of questions about him, the receivers. I'm interested. I'm excited to get to see Travis Hunter, but still, we'll see what they're able to do there. Brian Thomas Jr. really good. There's talent on that roster. They'll give Carolina potentially some problems like they did a couple years ago with Josh Hines, Allen, Trevon Walker as well. They can go. Got some pass rushers, but that defense as a whole was oftentimes last season worse than what the Panthers put out there as far as a product. So we'll see what's going to happen. And of course, this is the big thing that a lot of Panther fans pointed out once they saw that. Let's go back to 2003. Jake Delhomme comes in at halftime for Rodney Peete, leads the Panthers back, finds Ricky Prohl in the corner of the end zone. I'm sitting there in section 119 of my dad, watching the Panthers come back and win that game, the beginning of Cardiac Cats, the beginning of the Panthers going on to win the NFC South that year and make their first ever Super Bowl appearance in Super Bowl 38 in Houston. Then fast forward to 12 years later. they start off the season in Jacksonville, beat the Jags 20-9, and they end up going 15-1 and making their second Super Bowl appearance, which is still a heartbreaker, Super Bowl 50 that they lost there in Santa Clara against the Broncos. So third year, going to the Super Bowl because you're going to be playing Jacksonville for the third time to start off a season, and third time is a charm. So maybe this is when they finally hoist the Lombardi Trophy, but week one down there in Jacksonville, not a division game, not at home. So don't love that part of it, but love that it's not going to be a division opponent right off the gate to start off the season. Another thing that stood out to me, 3 out of the first 4 games are on the road, and had that a couple years ago, whereas 4 of the first 6 were. Of course, Carolina lost all 6 of those games. They started off 0-6 during that 2-15 season when Frank Reich only held around for 11 weeks. Don't think that's going to be a problem this year, because when you look at it, it's at Jacksonville week 1, it's at Arizona week 2, home against Atlanta in week 3, then at New England week 4. Those are 2 4-13 teams in the Jags and the Pats, and then 2 8-9 teams in the Cardinals and the Falcons, and you beat both of those teams last year. So it may not be ideal to start off 3 of your first 4 games on the road, but if it's going to be against anyone on this schedule and a collection of teams, I think you want it to be against the Jags, the Falcons, the Cardinals, and the Patriots. Absolutely, where Jacksonville made a coaching change, New England made a coaching change, certainly for the better, because Raves is a winner. Arizona, the Panthers owned them at this point in time. And last time we saw this team play, they won an overtime game against the Falcons team, and Bryce Young was looking like the number 1 overall pick and more than that. So 3 of the first 4 on the road, not ideal, but could be far worse of a stretch the Panthers start off the year. Number 3, talk about being back in primetime. I was pretty confident they were going to be playing on Thursday Night Football. That's not happening, but something better is happening. They're playing on Monday Night Football with a much better production and also way more prestige of playing on Monday night than playing on Thursday. And after not having a primetime game last year, they're going to play the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers in November there in Santa Clara. And as I've stated before, Thursday Night Football, it's an abomination. It's a joke. I'm good with not having the Los Panthers play on Thursday. Give me this game on Monday night. It will be a short week for them after that. I believe they play Los Angeles, so not a great stretch against 2 pretty good teams in the 49ers and in the Rams out there in the NFC West. But I would rather have that short stretch playing on a Monday and then come back and playing on a Sunday than playing on a Sunday and going and playing on a Thursday. So anytime they don't have a Thursday night game, in my book, that is a good thing. Certainly, you would love to have the NFL world watching you. I'd rather it be on Monday night, quite honestly, against a team, 2 and 49ers, where it could be a statement if Carolina's able to win that game on the road, as I expect the Niners are going to be a team that bounces back this upcoming season. And by the way, looking at the overall Thursday Night Football schedule, the Bucs and the Falcons, they play each other. That's the only NFC South game. Those are the only NFC South teams, period, who are going to appear on Thursday night. The Saints getting the treatment the Panthers got last year as far as not playing on Thursday night. Don't know if they have a game at all in prime time, but no Derek Carr. Going to figure out whether it's going to be Tyler Shuck. Okay. Spencer Rattler. Okay. Jake Haener. Hilarious photos, but really? Those are the 3 guys vying for the quarterback spot. No one wants to see that. People are interested now in what Bryce Young did and what this organization's done so far the last 2 off seasons. So yeah, Carolina back in there with an opportunity against, of course, a legacy brand in San Francisco there on a Monday night. Number 4, a chance to decide the division in the final 4 weeks. This is what I like. They have 1 division game that's going to be played. Let's see. Let me bring up the schedule. They got 1 division game that is going to be played in September. That's the game, week 3, home against Atlanta. Then their next divisional opponent is New Orleans in November 9th in week 10. And then you look at it, week 15 at New Orleans, week 16, home against Tampa, week 17, home against Seattle. Nice to have back-to-back home games late into the season. And in week 18 on the road against the Bucs. Like the Saints aren't going to be a contender in any of this, but still, that's an important game at the end of the season, and it's on the road. So that's kind of a nice respite, especially coming after the bye week, which once again is the same weekend as the ACC championship game in football here. It's going to be that first weekend in December. Wish it wasn't always that one because I would love it for it to be a little bit earlier. But whatever, that's fine. You get a little bye there, and you got a 4-week stretch to really go out there and potentially win the division with a game that should be very winnable against New Orleans there in week 15 on the road, then home against Tampa, home against Seattle, then on the road at Tampa. When I look at these teams right now in the NFC South, Atlanta, we'll see. It's the Falcons, so you can never trust them. And I got that one wrong last year, trusting him for whatever reason. That's on me. That was dumb. But the Saints, non-factor this upcoming season. Tampa still, to me, is the team to beat. And to have that team in your house prior to going to play them in the final week of the season, I like how that sets up. So sets up for 4 very important games, close out the 2025 regular season. And number 5, I'm looking at this, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but this is not an easy schedule for this team. I understand there were people who were hoping that they could play, I believe, a last place schedule with how the tiebreakers would have worked out. And that's not how it played out for Carolina. They have a 3rd place schedule, which means they got to play a team like the Packers on the road. And I had thought about potentially going to Green Bay. Don't think it's going to work out, but they got them, and that's a good team. I mean, Miami with Tua's healthy, they're not bad. Dallas with Dak, if he's healthy, they'll be competitive. Buffalo, Super Bowl contender. San Francisco, LA, both of those teams can be looked at as Super Bowl contenders. So not the easiest schedule, but it is a week-to-week league. It's the NFL. We have no idea who's going to be playing in any of these games, what injuries are going to occur. Hopefully not for this organization, but for other teams out there, and not wishing any injuries on anybody, but just pointing out, like, it's going to happen. It's part of the attrition of playing this game. This is a doozy. So we'll see how Carolina is able to navigate it. But I look at that stretch to start off the season. Maybe that could be a gettable stretch. And speaking of gettable stretches and what's the easiest, the toughest, I'll talk about that here in just a moment on Locked On Panthers. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you think that Jalen Brunson and the Knicks are going to keep it going to the Eastern Conference Finals and then potentially to the NBA Finals for the first time in how long? I don't know. Why not back it up with same game parlay? New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, back here on Locked On Panthers, breaking down the Carolina Panthers 2025 schedule as that was released this evening on Wednesday night. We have the dates, did not have all of them, of course, prior to tonight, but we have plenty of leaks throughout the day that gave us a good idea of what the schedule is going to look like. And it is going to be one that could be very challenging for this team, but I do think the additions that they made defensively, especially this offseason, drafting Tedero McMillan also there in the first round, and just the growth of their quarterback, Bryce Young, in the second half of the season, this could be an opportunity for Carolina to creep a little bit closer to actual title contention in the NFC South, to be specific. But this is a season I'm really excited to see what this team is able to do. But looking at just the easiest and toughest stretches, I'm going based off of win totals and looking at the Panthers win total. FanDuel, they're not like giving them right away. So I peeked around to kind of get a consensus. And what I'm seeing right now for Carolina is their 6.5 win total. So, they win 7 games this year after winning 5. That would, of course, be better, but I would love to see them do a little bit better than that. A whole lot better would be actually really nice. We'll talk about what that record may be a little bit later on here on the show. But looking just at their easiest stretches based off of some of these Vegas win totals that I'm looking at, it's actually, to me, it's that first 4. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, 3 of the first 4 on the road at Jacksonville, who was a 6.5 win total, 4-13 from a year ago. Arizona was an 8.5 win total, 8-9 from a year ago. Atlanta 7.5. They were 8-9 last year. The Patriots 7.5, 4-13 last year. And big moves that they made defensively. Curious who Drake May's throwing the football to, and big Drake May guy, Tar Heel, of course. But we'll see how that plays out. But I'm looking at it. Jacksonville, absolutely winnable game. Arizona, Panthers owned them. Atlanta, I mean, come on, winnable game. New England, winnable game. And it depends on how these teams start off. I don't know who the Pats had to start off the season, but if they get off to a nice little start and they're starting to believe, then maybe that's going to be a tough game up there at Foxborough with the foghorn and all that going on. I mean, it's a 1:00 game, so I don't really know if that's going to be that big of a deal. And I don't really feel like weather really is going to impact it. I mean, Jacksonville, possibly. It's Florida. It's going to be hot. Hell, it's going to be hot here if they would have played Jacksonville in September in Charlotte. So as I said yesterday, I don't think that was going to be a big deal when they played Jacksonville. You prefer it to be, I guess, in December when it's a little bit cooler and maybe not cool, but yeah, it's cooler, but it's also like nice weather in North Florida, which is also known as the cold part of Florida. So that's a game that I look at. You can win that game if you're Carolina. You can win any of these games. It's the NFL, week-to-week league. But the first 4 games, especially, we're looking at what they have the rest of the way and some of the contenders that they're going to play. Like, you got to find a way, man, to get to 2-2 at the worst, but 3-1 is really what I'm looking at that you would want to be for Carolina. Like Jacksonville, you can chalk that as you got to win the Falcons game. Of course, that's a home game, and maybe you're going to lose one. Maybe let it be Arizona, but you don't want it to be Arizona because that's a conference opponent. So really it'd be at New England or at Jacksonville, but you want to win week 1. So if they're going to lose any game, let it be against like an improved Rabel team up there in New England. But I still feel like there's animosity towards Patriots in this region, which rightfully so. We're never going to let go what happened to everybody here 21 years ago in that Super Bowl 38 loss. But I like that as the easiest stretch on the season for them just based off of the win totals. Toughest stretch, there's like 2. There's one that's longer and then one that's just back-to-back games. The longer stretch I'm looking at is right after that, which is why I'm saying it's pretty important for them to get off to at minimum 2-2, but really like 3-1. Start feeling pretty good about yourselves because then you got week 5 at home against Miami. 8.5 win total. You have week 6 at home against Dallas. 8.5 win total. And we know plenty of Cowboys fans will be in the stands. Week 7 at the Jets, 5.5 win total. They are one of 2 teams, I believe, that have a lower win total than the Panthers do this upcoming season. Buffalo, an 11.5 win total. And then Green Bay, 9.5 win total. And that's on the road in Lambeau, the Bills game. I mean, that is also, there's some games in between. But the Bills game, we know, going to be plenty of Buffalo people in there. And I saw Joe Person had tweeted out when the game was going to be. And there was Bills fans in his comments being like, when can we get tickets? I'm just like, no, please stay at home. Like, I hate the idea of Buffalo Bills fans being able to go to like a home game because they all moved here to Charlotte. They can't live in Buffalo, though. And I saw somebody ask him, why do you guys not live in Buffalo? Someone said it's cold as hell. It's like, okay, that's it? Well, you can get over it. Stay inside. But that to me is the toughest stretch. Dolphins, if 2 is right, they're not a bad football team. And you're getting them early in the schedule where it's not going to be cold here in Charlotte. Lord knows it'll still be 90 degrees October 5th. Dallas, challenge with Dak. We'll see how George Pickens work out, but that's going to be a bad football team as long as Dak is healthy. The Jets, you got to win that one in that stretch. Absolutely. Especially like if you go 3-1 to start off the season and you're looking at that stretch, like the Jets game, you got to find a way to win. I mean, the home games, so you'd want to win. Obviously, Buffalo, you want that game. I mean, that's the game of all these games this year. I do not want to see this team lose. But Dallas, Miami, you got to find a way to pick off one of those 2 teams. So we're talking about 2-3 during that stretch potentially, and then that's 5-5. Like if you're 500 after those first, I guess what 4? Yeah. No, if you're 5-1, because you'd be 4-5 in that situation. But 4-5, 5-4, like you're 4-5. You get through that. I mean, I still feel like with another game against Atlanta, another game against New Orleans, or I guess that'd be 2 games versus New Orleans. Like you're still on track to hit your win total of 6.5. Go over that this season. So that's the first one I look at as being the toughest stretch. Second one, it's 2 games. It's at San Francisco, which is a Monday Night Football game. It's excited to see that happen. They have a 10.5 point win total and then a 10.5 win total. I don't know why I said point win total. But then after that short week, kind of going at you're back home against Los Angeles, the Rams, and with Matthew Stafford rework deal, that's going to be a team that was really close to beating Philadelphia, by the way, in the snow and being that much closer to going back to the Super Bowl with Stafford and McVay. They also have a 10.5 win total this season. So those are the 2 games I look at as far as like back-to-back opponents. If you're looking at anywhere else on the schedule, maybe home against Buffalo and then at Green Bay the week after that. But I'm just looking at just 2 teams with both having win totals that have them winning over 10 games. That's those week 12 and week 13 matchups against San Francisco on the road on Monday night, and then home against Los Angeles, the Rams there. So toughest schedules, or at least toughest stretch and easiest stretch, looking at it with the win totals here for the Panthers this upcoming season. So what will the Panthers record be? I might tell you here in just a moment on Locked On Panthers. All right, back here on Locked On Panthers, 2025 schedule has been released, and it is one that I do think is going to have plenty of intriguing home games. Like, seriously, like you look at it, who wouldn't want to be in Charlotte for all these games? Like Atlanta, obviously division rival. Miami, get them at home. That doesn't really happen all that often. Anytime you get Dallas in there to get to make fun of Cowboy fans and hopefully see them lose, you're happy about that. Buffalo, that will be a scene here in Charlotte. A tough ticket to get. Go to Game Time to get those tickets. At home against New Orleans, that's going to be a win. You look at Los Angeles at home, that will be a difficult one. And then you got Seattle and then Tampa. And by the way, the last 2 weeks of the season, week 17, still to be determined as far as when that game is played versus the Seahawks. So they could play that game on Saturday or they'd play it on Sunday. And this comes down because people who might be upset about the Panthers not getting a Thursday night game, which, okay, whatever. If you're upset about that, well, if the team goes out there and wins something and is in contention in Seattle with Sam Darnold, God bless them, if they're out there winning as well, then that game could be on a Saturday and could be something that everyone's going to watch. Now, just being honest here, it's the Seahawks, it's the Panthers. It ain't the Russell Wilson Legion of Boom versus Cam Newton. Probably not going to get like the primetime Saturday night game if they do decide to play it on Saturday, but going to get probably the one that's in the middle of the day, which is totally fine. Like you're still in a window where everybody's going to be watching you instead of watching some of those cruddy college game bowl games are going to be going on probably that afternoon. So yeah, that just being honest, because you got to it's tough. It's tough out here for y'all, for people here, for the Panthers in general, to be able to get those primetime slots all on their own. And Seattle and Carolina still got to do a lot to get to those spots. But looking at that week 18 also, as it always is, to be determined when that game's going to be played. It will be played on Sunday. Will be played at 1 o'clock. Will be played at 4 o'clock. Will be played on Sunday night. And that's the thing, as far as Sunday night football goes, if the Panthers, when I mentioned earlier, with those last 4 games, 3 divisional games at Tampa or at New Orleans, home against Tampa, and then at Tampa to close out the season, the Bucs are the team to beat. And if they can stay right there, they can beat Tampa, hold serve at home, quite possibly week 18, depending on how the rest of the league plays out as well. That could be the Sunday night spotlight game. Winner goes to the playoffs, wins the NFC South, is back at home the following week. So that's just one other thing to look at when looking at this schedule. But as far as how many games is Carolina going to win? Last year, it was all about tripling their win total. They won 2 games. You triple that, you win 6. Like, it sounds a lot better to triple your win total than to go 6-11. They ended up not getting there. They got to 5-12, but the way they got to 5-12 to close out the season has people excited about what's ahead, especially based off of how Bryce Young was able to play. And the hope that you can have in your franchise more often than not is going to come from the quarterback position. And when they were cycling through Sam Darnold, Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater, PJ Walker, Baker Mayfield, there wasn't a ton of real hope. And I'll even throw Matt Corral in there to show respect to him and his family. There wasn't the kind of hope that you needed. When they decided, okay, screw all this, these reclamation projects, let's shift to number 1, let's go to quarterback, that showed you they finally had a plan. Now, the plan did not go well. The first year. Last year did not start off. There's a really well at all. There's a pretty big speed bump there. But the last 9 games, with Bryce in there, you started to finally see the vision. You started to finally see why they gave up what they gave up to get him. And week 18, back in January in Atlanta, that was kind of the culmination of a lot of heartache and headaches the last 2 years. And now it's like, all right, you got your quarterback. He's going to be your starter this upcoming season. Still plenty left to prove. Build around him, get him a defense, add more weapons on the offense. So this year for me, I'm going to lower the bar as far as tripling the win total. Why can't they just find a way to double it? Because if you double it, that's 10 wins. If you win 10 games in the NFC South, you're probably going to win the division. And if not that, you're probably going to the playoffs. That has always been the benchmark to make it to the playoffs. And in the NFC South, which is, or in the NFC, excuse me, it's not getting any harder, but it's not like you're dealing with Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, which, yes, they'll deal with him on the field this year, but it's not like you got to go through them once you get to the dance. So I look at it this year, at minimum, you got to find a way to get to 8. Just looking at it, okay, you go from 2 to 5 to 8, you got to build. And this defense, like, there's still plenty of question marks on this team. Quarterback, you feel good about it, but still there's a question. Can he continue to play the way he played to close out last season? Like, that will still be something that needs to be answered. Running back, no concerns at all. Chuba Hubbard with Rico Dowdle, they're good. Wide receiver, question, but exciting. Ted McMillan coming in, Adam Thielen coming back for another year. Can he continue to produce like he's done the last couple of seasons at 35? Xavier Legette taking the next step forward. Jalen Coker, when my Coke heads out, him taking another step forward. And then just the depth there at the position and the competition there. I'm excited, but also need to see XL make that leap. T-Mac come in and immediately be that number one. Just need to see Adam continue to be the leader and produce. So questions there, but excitement. Tight end, I think there's questions. Whether JT Sanders is ready to go, what Mitchell Evans can do, Tommy Trimble coming back as well. But there's excitement about that room, which I think is constituted to be the best it's been in a very long time. Offensive line, there were no concerns. Everybody is back. As long as everybody plays up to their level and more, and they don't just have like catastrophic injuries, they're going to be good this year. Let me go ahead and knock on wood. Just be careful. So offensively, yeah, not as many questions you had last year, but still questions, but mainly excitement about each of those position groups. Defensive line, when looking at the defense, Derek Brown's coming back. Will he be the same guy? It's only a meniscus tear, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Ashawn Robinson in there, Bobby Brown the third. They got to be able to stop the run. But I do think that is a group that has questions, but also you can be really excited about what its potential could be this upcoming season. Linebacker, I don't know. We'll see. Trevin Wallace, like what he did as a rookie, wasn't expected to play, went out there, played fairly well. Josie Jewell, need to see better. Christian Roseboom, okay, we'll see. Questions there, but an ability with 3 experienced guys to not be a liability, which I didn't really feel like it was last year, but just putting it out there, it should be hopefully a solid unit, but we'll see. Corner, excitement. J.C. Horn, Mike Jackson back. There's excitement there in that cornerback room. Safety, still a question. Still think they need to add a veteran. We'll see if that happens here anytime soon during OTAs, or if they're going to wait until August to do it during training camp. And then special teams is a question as far as who's going to be the kicker. Is it going to be Matthew Wright? Is it going to be Ryan Fitzgerald? And if it's a rookie and Fitzgerald, is he going to be solid? And then new punter in town. We'll see how it all plays out. So there are plenty of reasons to be excited about the direction this football team is going in, and plenty to be excited about what's on the roster right now. I just got to see it first before I'm out here making any proclamations or declarations, whatever, mations about what this team is going to achieve. I just need to see it. So at minimum, for me, you went from 2 to 5, at least get to 8. And then from there, 2026, if things are working out well, no reason why they should not be contenders to win the division, which they may already be. But I got to see it. You can't step on the rake in week 1 against Jacksonville and then go lose in week 2 and be 0-2 and everyone out here crying out, oh, season's over, Bryce sucks, fire everybody. I can't do it. Can't do it anymore. Sick and tired of doing it. I got it written down here in my notes. 19-59 since I've been doing this. Nope, I'm done with it. Win ball games. So let's see what this team can do. Not an easy schedule, but it is the National Football League, and football games are hard to win. They will tell that until they're blue in the face and until the sun comes out. Let's see how it plays out this season, but excited to finally know what my schedule is going to look like this fall, and excited to see what Carolina can do here in 2025. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Locked On Panthers podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, hosted by yours, Julian Council. Again, subscribe, follow the show for free over on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Be sure to follow me, Julian Council, over on Twitter and Blue Sky at Julian Council, where I'll be back on Friday answering your weekly Friday mailbag questions. Get those into me now by either adding me or DMing me over on Twitter or adding me over on Blue Sky. In the meantime, be safe, be happy, be whole. As always, keep pounding, and I'll talk to y'all on Friday.